Let's get ready to rumble. Watch this.
I can tell you.
You filed that with the Federal Elections Commission. You own stock in Chinese Petro.
I personally didn't buy the stock.
You made millions off it, sir.
I don't think I made millions off of anything. I'd love to have made millions off of Chinese Petro. First of all,
Shanghai Shenda and Chinese Petro.
Buying a second, you may not understand this because you've never been in the private. No, you don't.
I do.
You've never been in the private sector in your.
All right,
entire life.
I've worked, sir.
Josh, squat.
About 2 tours in Iraq. Don't tell me I haven't worked. Don't tell me I haven't worked.
You don't know squat.
It's okay, all right?
You don't know squat.
2 tours in Iraq. Don't tell me I haven't worked.
Back off, buddy. You're gonna.
You back off.
Come on. Never that'll happen.
Let's sit down.
Never.
Watch.
Yeah.
Watch.
We'll square it away with the
dealing with the wrong dude.
No, you're dealing with the wrong guy. You watch what happens. Listen, you watch what happens.
It's okay.
Sit down. Come on. God damn.
All right, guys.
Fight. That is Josh Mandel and Mike Gibbons. They're a couple of leading candidates for Rob Portman's soon-to-be vacated seat out in Ohio. We've heard a lot about Josh Mandel, maybe not so much about Mike Gibbons, but they did get into a back and forth here about Mike Gibbons and his connections and potentially money making off of foreign entities, right? Okay, let's get some of these details of why they were fighting like this. They squared off like it was a UFC event here. So this career politician, Josh Mandel, according to the New York Daily News, he called investment banker Mike Gibbons a P word under his breath at the end of that very exchange that you just saw. Conservative group FreedomWorks hosted this debate in the Columbus suburb of Gahanna. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Both candidates' campaigns released statements trashing the other man in response to the standoff, because of course, after your fighters square off, the promoters have to make sure they point these things out, make some more money off of this. Here's first of all from Gibbons' campaign. Josh Mandel is unhinged, unfit, and flailing because he's losing, is what his campaign spokesperson Samantha Cotton said. He doesn't have the temperament, experience, or fortitude to be a US Senator, and Ohio voters get a first-hand look at just how unprepared Josh Mandel has become, and that will be reflected on the ballot on May 3rd. How about from Mandel's camp? Scott Guthrie, who's Mandel's campaign manager, said in a statement on Friday that Gibbons, quote, got upset tonight that he was called out for his investments in Chinese oil. He claims not to remember the investment, but it's part of a pattern of Gibbons' entire career making money by taking American companies and selling them to foreign interests. An exasperated Vance, there's JD Vance was at the end that stood up and said, you guys calm down, it's ridiculous. He also is a Marine veteran, just like Mandel is, and blasted the showdown between the two as ridiculous. He says, I think the way that you use the US Marine Corps, Josh, it's disgraceful. It's not a political football for you to toss around. Think about what we just saw. This guy wants to be a US Senator. That's what Vance said on stage after it all went down. It's really crazy, David, because Vance is like, if you look at it now that he responded to that, he was sitting the whole time like, how do I insert myself in this without looking bad?
But it wasn't JD Vance the same guy who said, we should have nothing to do with Ukraine, that who cares, American people don't care about the Ukraine war. So he has been dismissed by a lot of conservatives and Republicans as totally out to lunch when it comes to foreign policy. Then there's Josh Mandel, who's been known as something of a hothead all along. And as we saw that him standing up and throwing the P word at Gibbons. Then there's Gibbons and his conflicts of interest and his Chinese investments, and it goes on and on. So it's not exactly as if the Republican field has a really compelling front runner. And so for Democrats, I'm like, eat some popcorn, man. This is awesome. Keep going at it, because it increases the chances when Ohio Republicans are used to somebody who, look, I don't like Rob Portman, and I think he's far too conservative, but he's not a flamethrower Republican. And there's a certain understanding that in Ohio, you gotta be a little bit, I think you gotta be a little bit more sort of polite, Midwestern, sort of earnest in your approach. None of these three Republicans are that, so maybe there's a chance for a Democratic pickup.
Well, possibly, because by the way, as you mentioned, these hotheads, Josh Mandel is the one who's jumped up when it wasn't his turn there, but he has a history of this. There was also a debate he had randomly with Morgan Harper, Democratic candidate also in that district. And I'm sorry for sending out there as well. And he was looking for a way to get under her skin as well. This is a couple months ago. Let's watch this.
I told that story earlier about being at Town Hall, the bar and restaurant down the street, where I told folks that I'm going to debate Morgan Harper. She's like AOC, almost only smarter. After hearing that answer, I actually think she's like AOC, only dumber. Whoa. Because the reality is.
And that's round two. Thank you both. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And
And thank you all for joining us.
No handshake for you. So this is what I was thinking, Dave, because this is the thing. I think because of the nature of how the Republican voting bloc has been riled up, and there's anger and there's violence. There's these rallies that turn into anything from, if somebody's in here that we don't agree with, it's time to assault them or go crazy on them. And there's this anger every time you go across someone else. I'm not sure to what degree Josh Mandel, it's really his personality, or he thinks that this is a winning political strategy.
That's a good question. And look, they get this modeled by Donald Trump. The Republican Party has been a party where it's okay to throw around nasty words, be abrasive, to lie, to say you're gonna beat the hell out of people. And when Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Madison Cawthorn and all the rest say, ha, that's gonna be me in the US Congress, then you start to see candidates in places like Ohio, where there've been a lot of districts where they haven't been challenged, and so they're used to Republican safe districts to serve as a platform for them. They realize that there's no penalty to them in terms of being jerks. And so now we hope, of course, whoever's the Republican nominee, that there is some sort of penalty for their terrible behavior. And I have a feeling, and this is what drives Mitch McConnell and the other Republicans crazy, is when you have Looney Tunes Republican candidates who literally want to fight their own Republicans, it turns off a lot of voters and it makes the seat more winnable for Democrats.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a matter of whether or not these voters are more on the UFC style or they're more on the policy style. And we've already seen Mitch McConnell does not want to voice any kind of policy because they know that's definitely a losing argument, but he wants to find himself somewhere in the middle. We'll see.